industry's kind of on fire a little bit. Carriers are really freaking pissed about rates. Brokers are working their asses off, and they're kind of getting beaten up as well in different directions. Some people are really scared of losing their jobs. Everybody's sick of being at home. People are going through divorces. So we all are kind of wondering, Doug, what do you see the future looking like for the industry when things kind of calm down with COVID? From any perspective, you know, what is your imagination showing you? Like, are you going to have all the employees come back to work? Are you going to do rotating desks? Do you see carriers looking different now? Like, what are your thoughts in that world of yours?
Sure. Well, I'll start with kind of the economy and the marketplace. You know, we saw a surge in demand in the end of March with all of the products that we're trying to get on the store shelves. And it's amazing how that little surge created tight capacity. And then it's also amazing how quickly we went to a loose market condition in the first 2 weeks of April, when the demand fell off. So the distance between a loose market and a tight market is not all that far. That's the first thing. We really, we talk about cyclicality in this industry all the time in terms of the supply and demand for capacity. And normally those cycles take, 18 months. We literally saw the entire cycle in 30 days.
Unreal.
So it's an unusual time. I do think it's getting better, as if you look back to the first 2 weeks of April, there were a lot of businesses that were closed. And as states start to reopen, some of those businesses are opening up and they may not be full of orders, but they're shipping something and something's better than nothing. And so our hypothesis has been that it's going to gradually, slowly get better. And I think we're seeing that. And I think that will continue to extend into the summer months. Summer is normally a seasonal pickup for the industry. And so I'm optimistic that we're going to see a slow recovery. I don't see it being a V-shaped recovery, but we also know there's a lot of capacity that's come out of the system. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day that owns a trucking company. And, if you go back to 2017, he had 6 trucks. And in 2018, when the market got hot, I asked him one day, I said, how many trucks do you have now? And he said, I've got 11, and a couple months later, he said, I have 12, and then I asked him I guess it was, probably March or April timeframe. I said, how many do you have now? And he says, I have 21. And then I saw him last week and he said, I have half of them parked. And I said, why are they parked? And he said, well, the rates are too low and I can't find loads. So, I think there's a lot of capacity sitting on the sidelines right now. So I think we're going to be in these softer market conditions for some period of time, but it won't take much to tighten the market back up again. It could be a spike in demand, which we saw in March. It could be some exogenous event like, bad weather or something like that. Maybe, shipping vaccines all around the country, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it'll be a V-shaped recovery. I think it'll be a U-shaped recovery. And there might even be another leg down if there's another wave of infections.
Why are you saying no V-shape? Like what? You're saying no V-shape or U-shape, meaning it's a slow progression. When I think of the demand that's going to come out of people coming back into society, which is, slowly opening up states again, people going to restaurants are now going to start doing big orders again, production companies are going to start ramping back up. Typically you would see that be a V, but you're still saying a U. Why that U instead of the actual V when typically you think it's going to be an instant demand?
Well, first of all, I hope you're right. Secondly, if we look at our clients right now, the level of business they're doing varies dramatically by industry. If you're in automotive, there's nothing going on. If you're in apparel, there's nothing going on. If you're in food and beverage, it's booming. And so I think to get firing back on all cylinders and have a V-shaped recovery, you need all industries, responding, in the positive nature. And I think further about how's behavior going to change. I think when restaurants open up, there's going to be a lot of people that don't want to go to a restaurant. There's going to be a lot of people that don't want to go to sporting events. And so now you've got this whole multiplier effect of all those people that aren't spending money, which is getting, multiplied as a salary to a service worker and then, a payment to somebody else. There's just going to be a permanent economic drag, not permanent, but a long-term economic drag because the economy is not firing on all cylinders.
So instead of a V, would you be willing to say that, let's say there are more COVID increases, could it be a W? Are we going to see that bullwhip effect where we know there's going to be that supply chain and demand constringencies back or towards the future? Could you say a W then instead of a U?
Yeah, I'll say it like this. I want a V. I think it's a U, but it could be a W.
Makes sense.
And if we see a lot of, surge in infections after we open things up and we have to shut things back down again, that's going to create a W.
True.